Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. And today we have a really fascinating one for you.
Yeah, I am super excited for this deep dive.
Because thanks to you listeners out there, we have this incredible, expansive interview with the Nigerian icon Konga.
Yeah, from the Honest Bunch podcast.
And so what we want to do today is unpack his story a bit.
Yeah, trace his path from his early struggles all the way to his lasting influence on Nigerian music.
So we really want to understand what makes Konga so resilient.
Yeah, the creative spark the realities of the music industry that he has navigated,
And offer you a unique perspective on not only his story.
but also like the evolution of Afrobeat.
Right. And so, like you said, what's really interesting about this interview is that it is very intimate.
Yeah, it's not just a list of his
It's
achievements.
not like, here are the songs I've done, here are the awards I've won.
It's a real genuine look at what it takes to be an artist in his particular environment.
Yeah, and I think by looking at these moments and these key insights, we can really understand Konga's impact.
Definitely.
So let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we find out that his real name is Lawal,
Okay.
and he actually started his career as Little Law.
Little Law.
He had a difficult start in life.
Mm.
His parents divorced when he was 7.
Oh, wow.
And from that young age, he actually started contributing to the family income by working with his grandma selling paint
That's paint.
in Jankara Market.
Jankara Market, interesting.
Yeah, and I think that early responsibility of having to hustle from such a young age really instilled this resilience in him.
Yeah, you can definitely see how those initial struggles often shape individuals in really remarkable ways.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just paint. He also, sold ice water.
Yeah, okay.
He even sold fufu.
Wow. So he was always hustling?
Always a hustler.
Yeah.
And then eventually he started selling pure water.
Okay.
And then we hear about his early performances, which I thought this was really interesting. He combined fashion shows
Fashion shows.
with concerts in Meta, which is in Mushin.
So he's really creative from the get-go.
Yeah. And on top of that, he would use this opportunity to also educate people on first aid through the Red Cross.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So, like a very multi-talented individual from the very start.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how he was engaging with his community beyond just the entertainment aspect.
Yeah. And it seems like this desire to stand out was a deliberate choice from the beginning,
Okay.
because he actually mentions that he, made a conscious effort to create a unique style,
Right.
both in fashion and in music.
I see.
And this leads us to the birth of his, most iconic track, Baby Konga,
Of course.
which now the inspiration for this came from a very surprising source,
Okay, I'm interested.
his mother's cooking.
His mother's cooking.
So he talks about how in 30 minutes he learned a coded language
What?
from his mother during her cooking sessions.
Interesting.
And what's really interesting is that a friend of his tried to actually claim ownership of his song.
Oh, no.
And this disappointment and this anger actually fueled the creation of Baby Konga.
That's really interesting how adversity can often breed creativity.
Absolutely. And Baby Konga came out 22 years ago.
22 years. Wow.
And he actually initially rapped in English,
Okay.
taking inspiration from artists like Jay-Z.
Okay.
But he faced a lot of struggle getting support for his music initially.
Yeah, I can imagine it was quite a unique sound.
Very unique. And he actually talks about, begging people for help. People thought he was crazy.
Right, because it didn't fit into the existing categories.
Exactly. And to actually save the money to record Baby Konga, he washed cars.
He washed cars to save money for his music. That's dedication.
Yeah, he washed 200 cars to save 10,000 Naira to do the final mix and mastering.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's a lot of cars.
That's a lot of cars.
And so we also get an insight into the reaction of some of the key players in the industry at the time.
Okay.
So DJ Jimmy Jett actually sent him back to the studio multiple times
Oh, wow.
to refine the track,
Okay.
but eventually saw the potential in it.
He saw the vision.
Yeah. His dad was also initially very surprised by the song,
I bet.
but eventually, became very supportive.
It's great how everyone eventually rallied behind him.
And the producer who helped him create this iconic track was Jude Leard, who was also a guitarist for UB40.
Oh, wow. International connections already.
And what about his fashion at the time? So he wore Fuji.
Food.
And he wore big sneakers, which he got inspired by from Jay-Z and DMX's videos.
So he's really blending different influences.
Yeah, very unique style, very unique sound. And so despite the popularity of Baby Konga, initially he didn't actually make any money from it.
Really?
He never sold CDs or made money directly from Baby Konga.
How is that possible?
Well, this really speaks to the power of Alaba.
Alaba market.
So Alaba was this hub. It was crucial in popularizing music.
Right, everyone knows about Alaba.
But for the artists themselves, they didn't necessarily get a cut.
That's really interesting. It's a different system altogether.
Yeah, and later on, he decided to form his own record company
Okay.
called Funky Monkey Entertainment.
Funky Monkey Entertainment. I love it.
And then he later signed with some other labels as well. But still, the financial returns from his music were very limited.
So what kept him going?
Passion.
Passion.
He really had a love for hip-hop, for breakdancing, for choreography, for styling.
That's true. Artistry right there.
Yeah, and not only that, but he had this passion for discovering and mentoring other artists.
Oh, wow. Tell me more.
Yeah, so he discovered the now very famous P-Square,
P-Square.
who were initially called Ranking.
Ranking. Wow.
And he discovered them at his Do Show Carnival in Meta.
That's incredible to think about their early days.
Yeah, and at the time, he didn't really have the resources to sign them.
Okay.
Or to really heavily support them.
Right. He was still establishing himself.
Yeah, but what's really remarkable is his role in connecting Wande Cole with Don Jay-Z.
Oh, wow. Huge connection.
Yeah, so he actually heard Wande Cole singing in a coca for the first time.
Just casually singing.
And he thought, wow, this guy has so much talent.
Okay.
But the crazy thing is, Wande Cole didn't even have a phone at the time.
What? No phone?
Yeah, and he had to really convince Wande Cole to get in touch with the music scene.
Wow, he really went above and beyond.
And eventually, he connected him with Most Hits Records.
More hit records? That's amazing.
And he really believes, I don't have to be greedy.
Right.
I want this artist to have the best possible platform.
That's so generous of him.
So that brings us to Kaba Kaba and his collaboration with Daegrin.
Okay, yeah. This one's iconic.
So the inspiration for Kaba Kaba actually came from quite a sad time.
Okay.
So he was talking about how there was this sadness in Lagos during the MKO Abiola era.
Yeah, those were tough times.
And there was the Abasha stove.
Right, everyone was using those.
And he saw a woman dancing while she was fetching water from a conga.
Like the drum.
Yeah, and that image and that rhythm really inspired the song.
Wow, that's powerful.
And, at this time, he had actually rediscovered his singing talent.
Oh.
So he was DJing at a party in his hometown, Iparindo.
Iparindo.
And he went back there to retake some exams.
Okay.
And he was like, you know what, I can sing. So he went back to Lagos and started working on some remixes.
Ah.
Actually formed a group for a little bit.
Really?
But it didn't really work out.
Why not?
He felt like he was being overshadowed. He was being sidelined.
Oh, no.
So that didn't work out. But it was at this time that he met Daegrin.
Daegrin.
Through street music battles at Thales Shrine.
Okay.
And this is when, Baby Konga is really blowing up.
Yeah.
Daegrin is still sort of in the underground scene.
Right. Building his reputation.
And then Konga goes to the UK.
The UK.
Comes back and he's like, I have this idea for this new sound.
Okay.
Kaba Kaba.
All right.
And I want Daegrin on it.
Cool.
So he had to convince Lalo to also feature on it.
Okay.
Lalo was a bit hesitant at first.
Why?
He thought Konga's sound was too local.
Too local.
But then when he saw the crowd's reaction to Baby Konga, he was like, okay, I'm in.
Wow, the power of a live performance.
Yeah, and so Konga actually wanted two artists on Kaba Kaba.
Two.
Daegrin and SKS. Now, here's the crazy thing. Daegrin came to the studio, heard the beat, and wrote his verse in under 30 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Insane.
That's legendary.
And they also featured IGO, who's a childhood friend of Konga's.
Okay.
Who had this unique Fuji-like sound.
So he was really showcasing talent.
Yeah, and Kaba Kaba really helped Daegrin, understand what the streets wanted.
It really put him on the map.
And then Daegrin actually went on to remix Kaba Kaba himself with Lalo.
Oh, wow.
Which became Pon Pon Pon.
Pon Pon Pon, of course.
And Konga's had some, mixed feelings about that remix.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a complicated situation.
Yeah, it did help Daegrin's career, but it's also like, that was my song.
Right. There's that question of ownership.
And Konga speaks very fondly his friendship with Daegrin.
Yeah, they were very close.
And how, he tried to help him early on in his career and then seeing him rise to success after Kaba Kaba.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the shock of Daegrin's death.
Oh, yeah, it was a huge loss.
And he actually talks about, being frustrated with the lack of medical care that Daegrin received.
That's really sad to hear.
Yeah, he wishes that social media was around at the time so people could have amplified their voices.
And maybe gotten him better care.
And he talks about how he actually felt excluded from the All-Star tribute song.
Oh, wow.
So he actually made his own tribute.
That's really touching.
Yeah. And he remembers, Daegrin's final success, his CEO album, his performance at Jimmy Jump Off.
Right.
And he was about to go on tour in America.
Yeah, and then the accident happened.
And then the accident happened, and he still thinks about the circumstances of the accident.
Yeah, it's a tragic story.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the challenges that Konga faced in the music industry.
Okay.
So his colleagues actually tried to undermine the success of Baby Konga.
Really? Why?
They called it vulgar.
Vulgar.
And he talks about, how he uses coded language in his lyrics,
Okay.
which actually stems back from the slave trade. And he really advocates for the teaching of indigenous languages in school.
That's really important for preserving culture.
Absolutely. And he also talks about the pressure he faced to join certain groups or engage in unethical practices.
Like what?
To advance his career.
Like cults or something.
Yeah, he calls it coming through the back door or getting endorsements tied to these affiliations.
That's really dark.
Yeah. And he refused to compromise his values.
Good for him.
And because of that, he actually didn't have a manager for 12 years.
Wow, that's a long time to be independent.
Yeah, but his passion for collaboration never wavered.
Okay.
And he says, he just focuses on the overall impact.
I see.
And he even says sometimes he writes for other artists and doesn't even take credit.
That's really generous.
Yeah, some of his impactful collaborations that he mentions,
L'Oreal.
X Project,
Yeah.
Sizzy featuring J1.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually expresses a desire to collaborate with a lot of current artists.
Like who?
So he mentions WizKid,
Wizkid.
Burna Boy,
Burna Boy.
Portable,
Okay.
Black Sharif,
DeVito. Kiss Daniel.
Kiss Daniel, Tiwa Savage.
Wow, that's a huge list.
Yeah, and he even talks about how he wants to do a remix of Baby Konga with WizKid.
That would be amazing.
A Kaba Kaba remix
Yeah.
with Burna Boy and Tiwa Savage.
Oh my God, I need to hear that.
And then something with Black Sharif and M.I. Baga celebrating Afrobeats.
Yeah.
And then a track with Portable and either She Kane or Save Ibiz.
Wow, he's got a lot of ideas.
Yeah, and he actually thinks very highly of Portable.
Really?
He sees his talent,
Okay,
and they support each other.
I see.
And he does call out Burna Boy a little bit.
What did he do?
So Burna Boy used some of his lyrics in a song called Update.
Oh.
But he says it in a friendly way.
Okay, so no beef.
No beef. And ultimately, he wants to use collaborations to elevate Nigerian music globally.
Yeah, take it to the Grammys.
Yeah, get Grammy recognition on home soil.
That's the dream.
So Konga is currently celebrating 22 years in the music industry.
22 years. That's incredible.
But it hasn't been easy.
Okay.
Recently, he's had some personal struggles. His father had a stroke,
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
which has put a lot of financial strain on him.
Right, medical bills can be tough.
Yeah, and he talks about how it brought back painful memories of not being able to afford proper care for his mother.
Oh, wow. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, so he actually urges his fans to stream his music
Okay.
to support him.
So they can help him through this.
Yeah. And then there's this whole thing about Konga.com.
Konga.com. What's that?
So he knows about the website, Konga.com.
Like the online retailer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he feels like it was a missed opportunity for collaboration.
Right. They could have done something together.
He thinks their PR team should reach out.
Yeah. Maybe for his 22nd anniversary.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
Now, in terms of his love life, he is not currently married,
Okay.
but he's looking for his queen.
He's a king looking for his queen.
In the 21st century, where the queen can also find the king.
I like that.
He's single and open to mingling, but he doesn't want to talk about the details.
Fair enough.
And last but not least, he acknowledges the key figures who helped him.
Yeah, the people who were there from the start.
So DJ Jimmy Jet, huge supporter.
Yeah.
DJ Snoop the Damager.
Okay.
DJ Midas, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
JML.
These DJs were so important.
Yeah, and they gave him, that opportunity and that platform.
Right, they believed in him.
So as we conclude this deep dive, what are the main things that we learned?
I think it's about resilience,
Yeah, Konga's resilience in the face of adversity,
Staying true to your vision,
the realities of the Nigerian music industry.
the power of collaboration and mentorship.
What were some of the key moments that stood out to you?
I think the whole thing about him washing cars to fund his music.
200 cars.
200 cars. That's crazy.
The inspiration behind Baby Konga from his mother's cooking.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
Dagrin writing his verse in 30 minutes.
That's legendary.
The challenges he faced with, those groups.
And staying true to his values.
And then his vision for future collaborations.
To elevate Nigerian music.
Yeah. And so why should our listeners care about all of this?
Well, I think understanding the journey of an artist like Konga really gives us context.
Yeah, it contextualizes the evolution of Afrobeat.
And it highlights the dedication and the struggles that often go unseen behind the music we enjoy.
Yeah, and I think there are valuable lessons here about originality and
In
perseverance.
any creative field.
So we'll leave you with this.
Okay.
Think about the artists whose stories you might not know.
Yeah.
What sacrifices have they made?
What collaboration.
The moments of inspiration have shaped their careers.
And the music that you love.
Maybe this will inspire you to explore some of the early work of your favorite Nigerian artists.
Or delve into the history of Afrobeat.
That's it for this week's Deep Dive.
See you next time.